Hi everyone, and welcome to this wish fulfilled success stories Friday, and as promised, this long awaited collaboration between Joseph and myself that you guys have been ever so patient with. So thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be talking about obviously how we manifested each other. Joseph, so the first video is on Joseph's channel. If you haven't watched it already, then the link to it is in the description box below. So I advise perhaps watching that first. And watching then this one as well, so that you can get the perspective. We're going to show it from his point of view, from my point of view, and you'll be able to dissect and see how each of us were able to not only manifest each other, but how our manifestations affected each other, how it affected our thoughts or how we were thinking, our bridge of incidents, all of that kind of stuff that you get asked quite a lot. What is my specific person going through when I'm manifesting them, and that bridge of events, and how do you know if you're on the bridge? Because it's not always that obvious.
Right, literally.
So a lot of you already know Joseph anyway. A lot of you I know already follow him. But if you haven't, go check his channel out. He's a fantastic coach, also into exactly the same thing. Great teacher of Neville Goddard as well. And if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure, for a second. Yes, my name is Joseph Alai. You can check out my channel, Divine Imagination by Joseph Alai. My channel is specifically designed to teach systematic manifesting. So I essentially, the entirety of my channel dissects and goes through my manifestations of old. I've been keeping track of my manifestations for 14 or 15 years, tens of thousands of them, segmented tests. And so what I have dedicated my life to is essentially demystifying and constructing frameworks that can be applied directly for consistent and predictable results, so you can manifest whatever you want. And that includes also the utilizing and explaining Neville Goddard's teachings, which I do have a deep connection with. But anyway, super excited for this. Thank you for having me here, dear.
It's a pleasure, Han. It's a pleasure. And also, for those of you who don't already know me as well, I'm Athena Raven. So I'm a mental health and manifestation life coach, and here to empower and inspire you as always on this manifestation journey. So if you haven't done so already, do click the like and subscribe to the channel. Help this community to grow so we can get the message out there to a wider audience. And I think this video in particular is going to be quite exciting, or at least these next collection of videos, because we will absolutely produce more. And we're going to ask you guys as well to share your comments, share your ideas for any topics that we can discuss together. Maybe we can break down some topics together, or maybe some questions that you want to ask. Some of you have already submitted questions. We're not going to get a chance to answer them in this video. This is just the sort of intro, and we're just going to go into the basics of how we manifested each other, how you manifest a specific person or a general perfect person, as was the case in this particular manifestation, and then what happened, this incredible unfolding of this bridge, which it spanned years.
Definitely, yeah.
From your perspective, so what's interesting, correct. Joseph started the journey creating his list of the qualities of the perfect person, the perfect relationship, which he actually entitled Wife, was it?
That's correct, yep.
So in his reality, from his state of consciousness, his awareness, his bridge of events lasted what? It's like 5 years?
About 5 years, I think.
5 years of the journey. So for me, though, from my world, when I set my intention, it actually lasted a couple of weeks. So it's quite interesting from that perspective that my bridge of events to meeting my perfect person, it was like, set the intention, a couple of weeks later, there was Joseph in my life.
Right. But the 5 years, though, do not despair. It wasn't like I was waiting around. So watch the video, though, for the details on that. For sure.
Yeah. For anyone, because I know, and luckily, actually, we talk about this a lot in my little family on here, because we get a lot of the clickbait stuff, and it's not about you've been doing anything wrong. If your bridge of events is meant to last a certain amount of time, it will, because remember, this world has to go by the laws of nature. It wouldn't make sense if I was to do my list and then bam, I ended up together with Joseph and we're suddenly living together and we're just like, what just happened?
Isn't that what happened?
That would pretty much, actually, that's pretty much what happened. But I'll discuss a bit about what happened. A lot of you guys already know this. I've shared a bit already about how we manifested our perfect person. Now, if you've watched Joseph's video, you already know what life looked like from his perspective, from the time that he decided on collating this list and the information for this list, to what he did, to then this bridge unfolding to where we communicated for the first time. And in my world, my bubble, I, as you know, I was in a relationship at the time that Joseph put his list together. And unbeknownst to me, around that time, I think that maybe you did the second list, perhaps. So he did two. He did one, first of all, that was kind of like the basic, what was that, more the physical characteristics of your perfect person.
Yep.
And then he went back to it and he elaborated on this and went to the qualities of the relationship, something that was a bit more, this perfect compatibility. So unbeknownst to me, I was moved by his manifestation. What had happened was, I was in the kitchen, as you are. I was already in a relationship and I was living at home with my partner at the time. It wasn't the greatest relationship at that moment. We were starting to have very segregated lives anyway. And I remember just being in the kitchen, you're doing your dishes, in my kind of state of just listening to Neville Goddard, as I always did, because he's kind of like ASMR for me, just therapeutic, enjoy his voice. And literally, you know what it's like? You know how YouTube just puts one video after another? And so I didn't realize, there I am washing up. And then suddenly this little voice comes on about, "Hi, I'm Joseph Alai. Welcome to my channel."
Where are you going, little?
And I was like, who's this voice? And I had a look at what was playing on my phone, what video was playing. And I see it's this who is this Joseph kid, And you were talking about Neville Goddard. I can't remember what the video was about, actually. It might have even been a specific person video or something along those lines. So it was quite interesting. And I had my marigolds on, my washing gloves, and I was all soaped up, so I couldn't change it. But as I was listening to him, I was like, I agree with a lot of what he's saying. Obviously, I had been studying the law all these years. I had been making it my lifestyle all that time. And it was not often for me to come across coaches that I actually agree with, that aren't clickbait, that are talking from experience and stuff. So I let it play. And I remember at the time, and I wonder if I set an intention here, maybe unintentionally, because remember in the video that I've just posted before about how you manifest a specific person, do you remember how I said how a lot of us manifest where we're kind of like, what would it feel like if? I wonder what it'd be like if I did that inadvertently in my state of trance, because I was doing the washing up. And when I saw that video, the more I kind of saw his content, the more I started thinking, he's kind of cute. Like, I wonder what it would be like to get to know this one. I wonder what it'd be like to, and I was trying all sorts of things. I wonder what it'd be like to be his friend. I wonder what it'd be like. Maybe I'd even thought about what it'd be like to date you or to be there with you. It was very interesting where my mind was going, and I would just ponder on that, and then I would drop it and let it go. And I kind of forgot about it. Although having said that, because you'd already written your list at that point, I think that's what we discovered. He'd already written his list,
right? Which
I think is why his video then came into my awareness.
Which would make sense, that it's something would trigger you, that would essentially kind of give you an impulse to have those types of thoughts about me, which would then drive further actions possibly.
This is your perfect person. This just bam there on your phone all of a sudden. And and then I started to do this almost imaginal act, impressed my mind with what would it be like to be with him.
I actually did a magical spell.
Yes.
That's what happened. Yes. Anyway, sorry.
Yes, I was under your control. And then you see, I was moved. So this is the thing about free will and being moved. And you see how we're kind of influenced by each other. So I was then compelled. And what's interesting is I forgot that I did this. But I think maybe later that night or a couple of days later or something, when I think another video popped up, I was just like, okay, I'd like to connect with this guy. I had just had this urge to connect with him. Don't know why. I've never done this before. And so I emailed Joseph. And then you get an automated response. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was suggesting a different email address. I don't know what it is with your email addresses and millions of email addresses. So I was like, fine, copy and paste the email again. And let's send it to this one too, to make sure he gets it. And there was something...
Obsessed much?
A little bit. And this email was just so embarrassing now that I think about it, because I was there basically introducing myself, saying that I was really intrigued by his work. I don't know, I made up something about my friends or whatever. I don't know why. I was obviously trying
Her friend
to start.
needed help or something, and I
Is that what it
introduced your
was?
concepts to him, and it really helped. Like, okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that. Yeah.
It wasn't true, but obviously I was trying to elicit some sort of connection here. I don't know what I was thinking at the time, honestly. And I sent those emails though, and I forgot about it. And there was something very specific, there was something very important about those emails and sending them at the time that I did as well, which is very interesting. So then years go by, and I'm in this relationship that is starting to break down, and then the relationship broke down, and I manifested the end of that relationship was getting to a point where I was just like, I want this gone, I want this out, and it turned all narcissistic abuse, and you guys know the rest, where I was then left in a state of PTSD. And after that year of recovery, I manifested good mental health after that, or at least freedom from the claws, the clutches of PTSD. And also I was trying to get back into the dating game. And those of you who know me know that, I tried it with the dating apps, didn't have any luck. My concept at the time, of course, it was just coming from desperation. I didn't want to be scared of men anymore because of what I had gone through. I didn't want to go back into old states of abandonment or whatever. But I was, functioning from a desperate place, I think, and looking for it. And if you're looking for love, only the loveless never find, the loveless never find love, right? And I wasn't feeling loved. I fell back into the old ways of let's manipulate the 3D and push and force to find love, and it didn't work. So it got to a point where I was getting fed up of coming across people who were just hot and cold and inconsistent, and they had a girlfriend already and they weren't at the same place in life. So I sat down and I made my list. And this is what's so interesting, because both of us created a list essentially of our perfect person.
Wild.
Now, a lot of you will be manifesting perhaps a specific person, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I've manifested, as you know, from my channel, numerous specific people for various outcomes.
Likewise.
Joseph's done the same as well. So we know that it can absolutely be done. But we also know that there is a lot of limitations attached to that, because you will always have preconceptions about your specific person. Every time I manifested my say exes back, if I wanted them back for a relationship or friendship, what I found was that yes, I could get them to conform. Yes, I got an ideal version of them, but I never got a perfect version of them, because I could never imagine my ex, for example, being into manifestation, for example, fully, or being a business owner, just from what I knew of them, right? But these were things that were important to me. At this time, it was like, I want someone that I don't have to take care of, essentially. I want someone that's on the same level as me. And so I sat down with myself, and it was that pent up emotion of I'm fed up. Enough is enough. Let's break this cycle finally. So what I did was I took all the great attributes from old relationships, the ones that I wanted to experience again. I took everything from my bad experiences and I turned them around, and I decided that, instead of hot and cold, I want someone who's reliable. They know exactly what they want. We're on the same page. We're really compatible. We can have a laugh. Communication is great. They love me as much as I love them. There's no gameplay, because I was fed up of gameplay. And, and what was interesting was that I was just pondering on that, staring at my fairy lights, going into just this relaxed sort of state. I wasn't doing any sats, and I wasn't sitting there trying to do an imaginal act. I was like, what do I want? Let me have absolute clarity. I didn't write it down. Joseph actually wrote his down, because he likes to have, that's your systematic.
That's what I do.
That's what
I do.
Diaries.
I like
and
to keep track and have
memories.
a positive. Oh my God. Yes. So many journals. We don't call them, men don't really call
journals.
It diaries.
Sorry, yeah. Journals. So many journals.
Countless.
It's ridiculous.
She's seen at least some of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he actually got me a small one, which I have yet to fill up 10 pages of. That's how much I actually sit and journal these things down. But anyway.
It works, though.
It works, yeah. I mean, I'm a lazy manifestor. I do it always mentally for me. And as I was going through... Thank you. So I was going through these attributes in my head. I was like, right, okay. So what would that feel like? And so I followed up with questions. Remember how I said this in my previous video about how to manifest a specific person? This is how I manifest now in my later years. Yes, I used to do sats and I used to do all of that and have this scene, but I am lazy now. So I just asked myself questions, because to me it's the least resistant way. And what was interesting was all these other qualities came to the fore. Like I had these obsessive thoughts about cancer. So I was just like, let me turn that into a positive. Right, this person is a Cancerian. And some other attributes as well about them. Let me just throw that into the list. Some things that I didn't really care about all that much, but was just coming to the fore. And then I decided as well, I was like, this is going to happen before Christmas. Because I'm not spending another Christmas and New Year's alone. Now, don't forget, we're coming to the end of, or mid to end or later end of November, when I put this list mentally in my mind and I started asking myself, what would it be like to be with someone who is a business owner as well, who's into manifestation? They had to be a homeowner too.
That was
interesting.
That's going to be really interesting to talk about, but maybe another.
We'll put that in another video.
Yeah.
We?
This
because
is so
that's,
crazy.
that shows the sort of influence that we had on each other's manifestations.
Remember that,
right?
the homeowner stuff. You guys remember that, yeah.
There was specific things that I was determined about, and I put this deadline on it, which I don't recommend you do. I don't know why I did. I think maybe it was almost like maybe it was influenced by your manifestation. Maybe I knew on some level, intuitively, my higher self knew that this was coming in now.
Right.
So then what?
Subconsciously. Yeah.
So then what had happened after that was that Kim, our messenger, and she's probably watching this video, it's just one of my viewers, commented and said, have you considered doing a collaboration? She mentioned a couple of people, and one of them happens to be Joseph Alai. And obviously I knew of Joseph from years ago. I didn't know about the other person. So I thought, okay, Joseph is on the same page as me. It's quite rare that people speak from experience. It's quite rare that, we're both Neville teachers, but we both understand it the same sort of way. So this would be a collaboration I could see could be quite harmonious. Let me get in touch. Now, I did have those negative kind of thoughts, those anxious thoughts where I was like, I've reached out to this guy before and I got my emails ignored, because that's another thing. Didn't respond to my emails, and I give him grief all the time about that.
Yes, this is true.
But you see, I was ghosted, and I could have taken it. I
didn't ghost you. I would have had to first engage to ghost you.
Well, I was ghosted from the get-go. All right, my existence was not.
You ghosted me. You just emailed and never emailed back. What?
I double emailed you.
Yeah, you canceled the one out. You had to do. Continue.
You see, this is what I have to put up with. So, So she had said that. So I was a little bit apprehensive, but I thought to myself, what am I doing? These are limiting beliefs, right? I'm not going to go by that past experience. Of course, what was anxiety provoking as well was that, of course, back a few years ago, I don't know, Joseph's following was much smaller then. It was still in the, 30, 40,000s, but now we're getting to someone who's nearly at 100,000 subscribers. And I was like, he's not going to have a chance. He's not going to see my emails. With my subscriber following, I get inundated with messages. I can only imagine what this one's inbox is like. But for some reason, I felt compelled. And Kim was my messenger that pushed me into action, that then made me go onto Joseph's site, that then made me see that I can contact him via Instagram. I don't know why I picked Instagram of all of his other social media, but I went on there and I sent a message. And instead of texting, I was compelled to voice note. And for some ridiculous reason, I was compelled to say a word that I never use because I always stumble upon. So I was like, I like your approach and your methodological. And literally, I was stumbling over this word. And I didn't realize that Joseph had created a video, say, a couple of days before?
No, the night before.
Or was it the
night before? Yeah.
Wow. The night before, Joseph filmed a video and he used the word methodological and he also stumbled upon that word. So it was interesting. It was like, I was meant to say that in order to kind of highlight to him that this is a conversation you need to speak to this person.
It was an audio recording that my brother and I he was helping me with something for my channel.
Oh, okay.
But I said it, just like you said, I said whatever, and then I started cracking up. Me and my brother started laughing, and then we decided to cut it out. So it stood out very much. It very much stood out, like beyond just a stutter and continue. So
it's so funny that of all words, and like I said, I don't use that word. And I was contemplating deleting the voice message because I thought how embarrassing, but I left it anyway. And then next thing I know, I'm quite naturally and organically having an inner conversation in my mind. where I'm seeing Joseph and myself having this really good conversation where we're bantering and laughing. It wasn't something that I was consciously, I'm going to do this in a conversation. It was just my mind naturally went there as I was, again, cleaning up. I always seem to be cleaning up the kitchen, but yeah, I was cleaning up and I just let it go. Even to this day, I still am double the work now because there's two of us.
She's doing it right now.
Right now, I'm cleaning the kitchen. So after that, what even happened? So after that, Joseph actually gets in touch. He comes across my message. What were you even thinking actually when you came across that? Because you would have had all these messages in your inbox.
So I suppose what it turned out to be was yours was either at the top or close to it. Yes, I receive an inundation of messages on all the platforms that I'm on, but it would have been towards the top, if not the top one, and it had the microphone. So it would have been slightly different. And there was a cute girl on the icon, which drew my attention to it. But nevertheless, it was also in the requested messages, which is interesting. So I don't know. I honestly, I don't go on my social media much, as many of you who have ever tried to communicate with me on them. Rarely am I on them. So I don't know. I was compelled to naturally do that. I can't tell you why. I would have been moved. It would have been a natural movement of the mind to go on there aimlessly, click on the, inbox, click on the message request, and then see it. So yeah, that's really all I could say. Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the thing about inspired action right there. That's what inspired action is about. Yeah. You don't even know that you're doing it. It's not a conscious effort to do anything. You're sort of just drawn and compelled. So it's something made me do a voice note instead of a text. Something made him check his Instagram at that point, check his requested folder. Because those of you who have Instagram know, if you're not friends and connected with someone and you message them, it goes to a separate folder anyway. So he would have had to specifically gone into his inbox and gone into the requested folders to see this message and then to pick my one at that time. And so he listened to it, heard that word, realized that something was up, and requested that we do a phone call. And then a couple of hours later, I checked my messages, saw his voice message response back to me. And I'm there thinking, all innocently, that we're going to discuss a collaboration. And I was still feeling quite professional about this, not realizing that he had ulterior motives.
Yes.
As much as I liked and admired him and stuff, but I hadn't thought about him in that way for years. So it didn't even occur to me. And then, of course, we spoke on the phone. The very first phone conversation was day before Thanksgiving in the States, and we spoke for 5.5 hours. And then he said he'd talk to me the next day. Again, I didn't really have any expectations as such. I just kind of let it be. I thought it felt good. Again, we're still thinking, we'll communicate for the collaboration. And then, of course, it very quickly went on from there, because one of the things on my list again was no gameplay. They're at the same level as me. They know what they want as much as I know what I want, and we're just, I was just, because like I said, I was just fed up. So I made sure this list was very specific about what I wanted to experience in this relationship, just like Joseph's list was very specific, even more so. Was it like 100 things or something?
Yeah, if more. I believe it's more than 100 items on my list. Yeah.
And he's a Cancerian. I mean, he fit every little thing, that even the things I didn't really care about, they threw into this list or whatever. He fit it all. So you really can absolutely have everything in your list. I have had clients and people do the same thing where they said then they met their perfect person. But what happens is a lot of people don't go further, don't talk too much about the relationship itself, what they want to experience. They're too worried about make that partner obsessed with me and they love, and it's usually comprised out of fear. But we really knew what we wanted. I think by this point that those experiences and those negative experiences that we'd had made us really certain of what we wanted this time going forward. And I decided, and this is it, and this is the one, and this is what I want to experience, and I don't want this hot and cold and gameplay. So it wasn't. There was absolutely no gameplay. There was no playing it cool. It was literally, we just wanted to talk all day, every day. And we literally didn't get off the phone to each other. It got to a point where we were falling asleep on the phone to each other. And the rest, as they say, is history. But there's a lot more to it and a lot more that we can share. But we wanted to, because we've been saying we're going to do this for the longest time. I think perhaps the next time we do any sort of collaboration, maybe we'll do more of a sort of Q&A or something, maybe.
Take what you guys give as comments, questions, direct it, because it'll be, I mean, this is for you, right? We have manifested each other. So whatever, I mean, especially the way that, or specifically the way we looked at it was, we have an advantage that we can openly discuss the things that we were thinking. So you can inquire to us, you know, we've discovered there are things that have spanned back years and years and years, possibly even things compelling me to write the list in the first place, meaning she might have been an impression in my mind years before I even wrote the list. There's a lot of things that we're still examining. And the thing that is, one thing that makes me think of, and also something that you've said that I think is really important and very telling, is the actions that I took. The actions that Athena took, meaning the ones that were directed, say the ones that I had imagined and that she was directed to take. She had no idea that the actions that she was taking would lead to my manifestation. The thoughts that you will have, the thoughts that your specific person will have, are not going to feel any different to them. They will know them as their own thoughts. Right? The same way as when a manifestation is unfolding and you reach the end and you get your manifestation, you didn't know that that action you were about to take was going to get you to your end. You didn't know the random person that you were going to talk to was going to be the cause of what led you to the place that you needed to go. The thoughts that you have, the impulses that you feel, the actions that you take are not going to feel any different to you. You will not be able to point them out and say, this is leading me there, right? It's all natural. Everything is a manifestation. Everything is leading you there. That's really my 2 cents of what stood out more than anything else, I think, when I was listening to what you were sharing, is it's all natural and easy and effortless. And sometimes we might be wondering, when is this going to happen? What's happening? It will happen. Just act natural. Just act natural.
Absolutely. You're going to be guided into the right direction, into the right behavior, into the right movement at the right time, be at the right place. And like I say, a lot of the times, these inspired actions don't feel like anything connected directly to your specific person or to your relationship.
Right.
Also, don't look at the circumstances. I was a hermit. I was working from home. And I was thinking to myself, well, I'm creating this perfect person list. How am I going to meet this person? I don't go out. I got rid of the dating apps. I was fed up of that. How is it going to happen? Remember, the how and the when is not up to us. Yes, I set an intention for a deadline. I don't know why I did that. I wouldn't normally recommend that you do that kind of thing, because it's just now. It's just happening now. And like I said, those emails as well that I sent all those years ago, as much as that might seem like an obsolete thing that I did, it was the key. It was a huge factor. It was really important, especially the time that the email was sent.
Yeah, amazing.
A number that is associated with Joseph. That's a really important number.
More.
Yeah. So,
but learn more about that on also on my video. I talk much more specifically about the vital importance of the emails that she sent. So that's on the video. But yeah, I can't wait to talk about. There's so much stuff. We're already 30 minutes in on this video. We have sat and talked days and days and days, hours and hours. We could go on forever of all the amazing things. I mean, the perspective, the point of our life that each of us were in when we met, our prior relationship, the state of mind that we were left in, all the events. I mean, even to where I lived, where the pharmacy is nearby. There's so many little intricacies that seem like completely unimportant things, right? And you won't know right now what we're talking about, but these are masterfully crafted masterpieces. These bridges of incidents, these manifestations unfolding are way beyond past finding out. And they are so powerful and intricate. You do not need to worry about anything. Do the work initially to set the intention up, to select that dimension in the realm or the library of dimensions. You select it to be checked out, and then you will go there. You know, that's the simple. There's so many instructions and techniques and ideas and concepts. Manifestation does not have to be that hard, right? The hardest thing about it that I believe, is the misinformation, because the mis-expectations, right? So the thing that causes the most pain, the most struggle, is misinformation, because if your expectations are set up incorrectly as opposed to how you think manifestation should work, that is what causes the most frustration. It can mislead you, misguide you. Always go with experience. Always go with testing. Always go with experience. Very easy to do. Manifesting can be tested. But the point being is, like, we wrote lists. Hers in her head, mine on a piece of paper. That's it. The rest takes care of itself.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you want to embody that, feel it out. Because I did, because I was still in a state of lack at that point. That's why I was just like, what would it be like to be in that sort of a relationship where someone is at the same level as me and ticked all of these boxes? I just let myself sit there with it, and then I dropped it and I forgot about it. And actually after that, I felt, you know how I said in my last video about this sort of level of detachment and an inner fulfillment, because that's what this is all about. Very quickly, actually, did I shift state from not being in a relationship to, I felt like I'm going to be in this relationship, and that's what my next relationship is. So I'm going to make the most of my single life now because it's limited. I kind of knew that and felt that. And I felt very much at peace. All of a sudden, I was almost happy to be on my own in a way for that period of time before meeting Joseph. So everything is taken care of. But like I said, we're going to do a lot more collaborations because there's so much more that we can talk about. And maybe we're going to, I don't know, entertain certain topics of conversation as well. That there might be a bit of misinformation about, maybe coming from both perspectives. I don't know. We'll see how this goes.
Absolutely.
But do comment below with any ideas that you have or any questions, because we were considering to do some Q&A videos so we can go into more depth about what you're thinking and feeling, and how this works, and anything that you wanted to ask as well. Do we imagine together? We're thinking do we do imagine acts together? Do we disagree? What do we do when we disagree on certain things about manifestation? Whatever you want to know. So we just want to...
We do imagine together.
We do.
Super effective. But if you want the ins and outs of that, just ask.
We have manifested some incredible things together. Actually, putting our heads... 2 heads are better than 1. But we'll talk about that more in another video. But thank you so much for joining us, guys. If you are still here, do check out Joseph's channel as well if you haven't done so already.
The video, if you haven't, ensure that you watch that video, because you will get filled in on a lot of more information related to this manifestation, for sure.
Joseph's perception, my perception, and how they interlinked together, how this bridge just interlinked together. Both of us thinking we're acting of our own free will, both of us influencing each other.
Literally amazing and profound, the way that there's a balance between me inspiring her to act without her knowing, and her inspiring me to act. And think of all the other people. I mean, if you're not yet experienced to have the manifestations to look at, observing, right? Eventually you will find, it is amazing to see how everything links in together. It is amazing to see your power.
It is mad.
Oh, it's so crazy.
That's why you can't even, I always say it's an intricate network of all of your desires coming to fruition, plus all of your assumptions as well being reflected in the bridge of events, plus, oh my goodness, But the longer you do this, the clearer it's going to become. So anyway, do like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Click that bell icon so you can always keep posted on more videos that we post. And I love and appreciate all of you guys for being here. Thank you. And we'll see you soon.